Liberal Viewer presents.
So, Republican Speaker of the House Dennis Hastert went overboard on the rhetoric last week. Republicans had passed a Military Commissions Act that lets the U.S. government put all non-U.S. citizens in custody indefinitely without charges or access to the courts as long as Donald Rumsfeld accuses them of being unlawful enemy combatants. But this time, threats to call opponents of the bill soft on terror only got Bush and the Republicans 34 Democratic votes. So, to make good on the threat against the 160 Democrats who voted against him, Republican Speaker of the House Dennis Hastert put out a press release that singled out Democratic Leader Nancy Pelosi with the following accusation. Democrat Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi and 159 of her Democrat colleagues voted today in favor of more rights for terrorists. So the same terrorists who plan to harm innocent Americans and their freedom worldwide would be coddled if we followed the Democrat plan. But here's how Democratic Leader Nancy Pelosi responded to Hastert's charge.
Madam Leader, after yesterday's vote, the Speaker singled you out with 159 other Democrats as saying that you voted for more rights for the terrorists, and that under the Democrats' plan for security and under the Democrats' plan for military tribunals, terrorists would be coddled. And I'm wondering if I could get your reaction to the Speaker's singling you out particularly.
I think the Speaker is a desperate man. For him to say that, would you think that anyone in our country wants to coddle terrorists? Then he must be attributing that same characterization to Secretary Powell, because my position is the position that was espoused by Secretary Powell, a general who served our country with great bravery and distinction in many capacities, including Chairman of the Joint Chiefs and as Secretary of State. So I feel sad for the Speaker that he would have to stoop to that level. And quite frankly, if he had said it on the floor, I would have taken his words down.
Leader Pelosi's reference to Colin Powell was to a letter the former Secretary of State and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff wrote that argued, "The world is beginning to doubt the moral basis of our fight against terrorism." But when Fox News got a hold of Leader Pelosi's statement, the reference to Colin Powell was entirely removed. Even worse, Fox News took out Speaker Hastert's statement about coddling and made it look like Leader Pelosi was overreacting to a different, milder Hastert statement. Here's how Fox News edited the exchange.
On Wednesday, most House Democrats opposed the detainee bill on these grounds. House Speaker Dennis Hastert labeled them weak on terror.
That if you're voting against that, you're saying, look we think that these people ought to have any right that any other American citizen would have in the courts. The fact are, they're here to kill us.
This attack drew a sharp response from the top House Democrat.
I think the Speaker is a desperate man. For him to say that, would you think that anyone in our country wants to coddle terrorists?
So was it fair and balanced of Fox News to cut out the reference to Colin Powell and also make it look like Nancy Pelosi was overreacting to a different statement by Dennis Hastert? And on the bigger issue, do Colin Powell and the Democrats want to coddle terrorists just because they oppose having all non-citizens subject to indefinite detention on the authority of Bush and Rumsfeld?
YouTube, you decide.